America's $20 trillion economy is sitting on a powder keg. With inflation still above target, consumer debt at record highs of $8 trillion, and corporate earnings warning of slowdowns, the question isn't if a recession will hit, but which cities will crumble first. Today, we're counting down 10 American cities that could face devastating job losses, business closures, and economic collapse when the next downturn strikes. Some depend on industries already showing cracks. Others built their entire economies on shaky foundations that won't survive when spending stops and layoffs begin. Number 10. Las Vegas, Nevada. When people think recession-proof cities, Vegas rarely makes the list, and for good reason. This desert playground built on dice rolls and slot machines becomes a ghost town when Americans tighten their belts. 25% of Las Vegas jobs are tied to hospitality and gaming, making it one of the most tourism-dependent major cities in America. When the 2008 recession hit, Vegas unemployment spiked to 14.2%, nearly double the national average. Hotel occupancy rates plummeted from 91% to 78% in just 18 months, forcing massive layoffs across the Strip. Here's what makes Vegas so vulnerable. Consumer discretionary spending gets slashed first during economic downturns. That weekend trip to Vegas? The first thing families cut from their budgets. Corporate conventions and business travel? Companies cancel those immediately to save cash. The result is devastating for a city where your paycheck depends on tourists having money to burn. But it gets worse. Many of Vegas's major casino operators are heavily leveraged with debt. MGM Resorts carries over $12 billion in total debt, while Caesars Entertainment holds nearly $14 billion. When revenues drop and debt payments remain fixed, layoffs become inevitable. The warning signs are already flashing. Vegas visitor volume in 2024 remained 8% below pre-pandemic levels, and average spending per visitor has plateaued despite inflation. Hotel room rates have increased, but occupancy remains soft, suggesting demand is weakening. While Vegas depends on people having money to spend, our next city relies on an industry that's already showing cracks. Number 9. Detroit, Michigan. The Motor City's industrial cracks are widening into dangerous fractures that could shatter completely when recession hits. 18% of Detroit metro jobs remain tied to auto manufacturing, creating a concentration risk that's already proving devastating. General Motors announced 15,000 job cuts in 2024, while Ford eliminated 12,000 positions and Stellantis shuttered multiple plants. These aren't recession cuts, these are pre-recession cuts, happening while the economy still grows. The electric vehicle transition is crushing Detroit's traditional advantage. Building EVs requires 60% fewer parts than gas engines, meaning thousands of supplier jobs simply vanish forever. Meanwhile, Tesla and Chinese manufacturers are eating market share, while Detroit spends hundreds of billions retooling factories that may never turn a profit. Supply chain vulnerabilities make everything worse. Detroit's just-in-time manufacturing model means any disruption, whether chips from Taiwan or lithium from China, can shut down entire assembly lines. When recession hits and car sales plummet, these expensive retooled factories become massive money losers. Here's the brutal math. During the 2008 recession, Detroit's unemployment hit 28% as auto sales collapsed from 17 million vehicles to 10 million annually. Workers who thought they had secure union jobs found themselves competing for minimum wage positions at restaurants and retail stores that were also cutting staff. The city's population continues shrinking, falling from 1.8 million in 1950 to just 630,000 today. Each job lost creates a ripple effect through local businesses, schools, and services. From manufacturing struggles to tech sector vulnerabilities in our next city. Number 8. San Jose, California. Silicon Valley's tech bubble isn't just deflating, it's bursting in spectacular fashion. And the epicenter sits right here in the heart of innovation country. 35% of San Jose jobs depend directly on the tech sector, creating a dangerous monoculture that's already cracking. Google slashed 12,000 positions in 2023. Meta eliminated 21,000 jobs across 2 rounds of cuts, and Apple froze hiring while quietly reducing contractors. These aren't small adjustments, they're massive restructurings at companies that define the modern economy. Venture capital funding has collapsed 60% from its 2021 peak of $347 billion to just $139 billion in 2024. Startups that survived on easy money now face a brutal reality. No funding means no growth, and no growth means layoffs. San Jose's ecosystem of smaller tech companies, consultants, and service providers all depend on this venture capital flow. The commercial real estate crisis amplifies every problem. Office vacancy rates in San Jose hit 28% in late 2024 as remote work and downsizing gutted demand. When companies like Salesforce and Adobe reduce their physical footprint by 40%, the ripple effects devastate everything from security guards to local restaurants. Here's what makes this terrifying. Unlike previous tech busts, artificial intelligence is eliminating entire job categories. Software engineers who once commanded $200,000 salaries now compete with AI tools that write code faster and cheaper. Tech's troubles ripple beyond Silicon Valley to cities built on startup culture. Number 7, Austin, Texas. The city that branded itself as the next Silicon Valley now discovers that copying someone else's playbook during a bubble rarely ends well. 28% of Austin's explosive job growth between 2020 and 2023 came from tech company relocations and expansions. Tesla's Gigafactory, Oracle's headquarters move, Apple's billion-dollar campus, they all seem like permanent wins for a city desperate to diversify beyond government and music. But that foundation is crumbling faster than anyone expected. Austin's venture capital scene has imploded alongside the national collapse. Local startups raised just $2.3 billion in 2024, down from $8.7 billion at the 2021 peak. When funding dries up, those hip co-working spaces in East Austin and downtown office towers become expensive monuments to overconfidence. Remote work is killing Austin's migration advantage. Why pay $2,500 for a one-bedroom apartment when you can work from anywhere? California tech workers who drove Austin's boom are staying put or moving to cheaper locations, leaving the city with massive oversupply in both residential and commercial real estate. The numbers tell a devastating story. Austin built 4.2 million square feet of new office space between 2021 and 2024, just as demand evaporated. Office vacancy rates hit 24% in late 2024, and that's before recession layoffs begin. Construction cranes that once symbolized Austin's growth now represent stranded assets and overextended developers facing bankruptcy when projects can't find tenants. While Austin bet on tech, other cities doubled down on finance. Number 6, Charlotte, North Carolina. When America's second-largest banking center starts showing cracks, you know the financial system itself is under serious stress. 22% of Charlotte's economy depends on financial services, making it more vulnerable to banking sector turmoil than almost any major city. Bank of America's headquarters anchors this ecosystem, employing over 15,000 people directly and supporting countless more through contractors, consultants, and service providers. When banks struggle, Charlotte bleeds. Credit tightening is already hammering the city's foundation. Commercial lending standards have reached their strictest levels since 2009, with banks rejecting 43% more loan applications than just 2 years ago. Charlotte's smaller regional banks, which fuel local business growth, are sitting on massive commercial real estate portfolios that lost 30% of their value since 2021. Bank of America's stock price has underperformed the market by 18% in 2024, reflecting investor concerns about credit losses and regulatory pressure. When your largest employer faces headwinds, layoffs inevitably follow. The bank eliminated over 3,000 positions in 2024, with more cuts planned if economic conditions worsen. Here's the multiplier effect. Every banking job lost typically eliminates 2 additional service sector positions. Expensive downtown restaurants, luxury retailers, and professional services all depend on high-earning financial workers who suddenly tighten their spending when job security disappears. Charlotte's commercial real estate market shows dangerous warning signs, with office vacancy rates climbing to 19% as financial firms reduce their physical footprint. Financial centers face one type of risk, but energy-dependent cities face another. Number 5, Houston, Texas. The energy capital of the world rides a roller coaster that's programmed to crash every time recession hits, and the next drop could be the steepest yet. 15% of Houston jobs tie directly to energy, from oil field services to refining to petrochemicals. But here's what makes Houston truly vulnerable. Oil prices don't just correlate with recessions, they often cause them. When crude crashes from over $90 per barrel to under 50, as happened in 2014 and 2020, Houston's unemployment rate typically doubles within 18 months. The city's refining capacity creates a hidden time bomb. Houston processes over 2.5 million barrels of crude daily through massive complexes that require constant capital investment. When margins tighten during economic downturns, refiners delay maintenance and cut staff, creating a cascade of job losses through the contractor ecosystem that employs hundreds of thousands. Petrochemical plants face their own crisis as demand for plastics and chemicals plummets during recessions. ExxonMobil's Baytown complex, one of the world's largest, has already reduced output twice in 2024 as global demand softened. Shell and Chevron are postponing multi-billion-dollar expansion projects that would have employed thousands of construction workers. Here's the brutal history lesson during the 1980s oil bust. Houston lost over 200,000 jobs and home values crashed 40%. The 2014 oil price collapse eliminated 130,000 energy jobs across Texas, with Houston bearing the brunt. Current warning signs are flashing. Red oil service companies like Halliburton and Baker Hughes have cut workforces and rig counts continue falling. Energy booms and busts are predictable, but some cities face newer, less understood risks. Number 4, Miami, Florida. This city built its boom on the most fickle foundation imaginable: foreign money and cryptocurrency wealth that can vanish overnight when global markets panic. 40% of Miami condo purchases involve foreign buyers, primarily from Latin America, Europe, and Russia. These aren't locals buying homes to live in, they're international investors parking money in Miami real estate as a hedge against instability in their home countries. When recession hits and these investors need liquidity fast, Miami's luxury market becomes a fire sale. The cryptocurrency connection makes everything more volatile. Miami positioned itself as the crypto capital of America, attracting Bitcoin billionaires and blockchain companies with tax incentives and pro-crypto policies. But crypto wealth evaporates faster than traditional assets during market crashes. Bitcoin's 70% crash in 2022 gave Miami a preview of what's coming. Luxury spending gets slashed first during recessions, and Miami's economy depends on ultra-high-end consumption. Those million-dollar penthouses in Brickell and South Beach empty when wealthy buyers retreat to safer investments. Luxury retail, high-end restaurants, and premium services all collapse when their clientele disappears. The insurance crisis amplifies every problem. Hurricane insurance costs have tripled since 2021, adding thousands to monthly carrying costs for luxury properties. Many foreign buyers are already backing away as insurance makes ownership prohibitively expensive. Miami-Dade's construction sector employs over 150,000 workers building luxury towers that may have no buyers when completed. Crane counts remain near record highs even as pre-sales plummet. International money can flee quickly, but domestic tourism cities have their own problems. Number 3, Orlando, Florida. When families across America start cutting vacation budgets, the Magic Kingdom's economic spell breaks faster than Cinderella's carriage at midnight. 23% of Orlando jobs depend on hospitality and tourism, creating a dangerous concentration around an industry that's brutally cyclical. Disney World alone employs over 77,000 workers, while Universal Studios adds another 25,000. When recession hits and families cancel those expensive theme park vacations, these massive employers slash payrolls without hesitation. The numbers from past downturns tell a terrifying story. During the 2008 recession, Orlando's unemployment spiked to 11.7% as tourism plummeted 32%. Hotel occupancy rates crashed from 81% to 64%, forcing widespread layoffs across the hospitality sector. Disney laid off thousands of cast members and froze hiring for over 2 years. Convention business amplifies Orlando's vulnerability. The Orange County Convention Center hosts events that bring millions of visitors annually, but corporate travel budgets get slashed first during economic stress. Companies cancel conferences, trade shows, and business meetings, leaving Orlando's massive convention infrastructure empty and thousands of service workers unemployed. Discretionary spending cuts hit theme parks particularly hard because a Disney vacation costs the average family over $4,000. When mortgage payments become difficult and job security disappears, that magical week in Orlando becomes an impossible luxury. Early warning signs are already visible. Disney's park attendance growth has stagnated in 2024 despite new attractions, and hotel pricing power has weakened as demand softens. Tourism cities suffer when spending drops, but government-dependent cities face budget crises. Number 2, Washington, D.C. The nation's capital seems recession-proof until you realize that fiscal crises trigger the exact spending cuts that power this city's entire economy. 28% of Washington metro jobs tie directly to federal government employment, creating a vulnerability that most people never consider. When recession strikes and tax revenues plummet, political pressure for austerity measures becomes overwhelming. Congress starts slashing budgets, and suddenly the world's most stable employer becomes a mass layoff machine. Government contractors face even worse prospects. Companies like Lockheed Martin, Booz Allen Hamilton, and General Dynamics employ hundreds of thousands in the D.C. region, but their contracts get canceled first when budget cuts begin. During the 2013 sequestration, federal contractors laid off over 40,000 workers in the D.C. metro area as defense spending dropped 8% almost overnight. Defense spending creates particular vulnerability because it's politically easier to cut than Social Security or Medicare. The Pentagon's annual budget of $800 billion makes it a prime target for deficit reduction. When lawmakers need to find savings fast, military contracts and civilian defense jobs disappear rapidly. Here's the multiplier effect. Every federal job loss typically eliminates 2 additional private sector positions. High-end restaurants, luxury retailers, and professional services all depend on well-paid government workers who suddenly face hiring freezes and layoffs. The current debt ceiling debates and rising interest payments on national debt signal that major budget cuts are inevitable when the next recession forces fiscal responsibility. Government cities face political risks, while our final city combines multiple vulnerabilities. Number 1, Phoenix, Arizona. The Valley of the Sun represents the perfect storm where construction dependence, speculative investment, and environmental reality collide in what could be America's most devastating urban collapse. 12% of Phoenix jobs depend directly on construction, the highest rate among major metros. When recession hits and home building stops, these workers have nowhere to go. During the 2008 housing crash, Phoenix construction employment plummeted 68%, eliminating over 150,000 jobs and pushing unemployment above 10%. California migration has driven Phoenix's explosive growth, with over 40% of new residents coming from the Golden State between 2020 and 2023. But that flow is already reversing as remote work reduces relocation incentives and Arizona's summer temperatures reach deadly new extremes. Without California transplants, Phoenix's economy contracts rapidly. Investor speculation created a housing bubble that dwarfs most markets. At the peak, 32% of Phoenix home purchases involved investors, many buying sight unseen based purely on price appreciation expectations. These speculative buyers are now rushing for exits as rental yields turn negative and carrying costs soar. Water scarcity threatens Phoenix's long-term viability. Lake Mead has dropped to historic lows, triggering federal water restrictions that could cut Arizona's allocation by 25%. New construction permits are already being denied in some areas due to insufficient water supplies. The suburban overbuilding is staggering. Phoenix approved permits for over 50,000 new homes in 2023, creating massive oversupply just as demand evaporates. When recession combines with migration reversal and environmental constraints, Phoenix faces an economic catastrophe unlike anything in modern American history.